Today we're going to be talking about how to apply trims around corners. And so what I recommend is that you use this glue-based. I think it works really well. It helps hold your trims in place instead of just relying on your pins. So what I'm going to do, I've cut my trim longer than I need. So this little square, I'm going to be putting my pom-pom fringe around this square. And this square is 4 inches on each side, so that's a total of 16 inches. But then I've added several extra inches. So I've cut this trim to about 20 inches. So I've given myself 4 extra inches, which is going to be plenty to work with. I just don't want to run short at the end. I can always trim off the excess. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start by laying out my trim along the first edge, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of room from the corner. And I'm going to take my basting glue and I'm just going to apply a few dots and right now I am working on my ironing board, and I will tell you why. I like the padding on the ironing board because what's really great is, I'm going to grab some pin. The finer the pin that you use, I think the better it works. So these are some fine glass head pins. And then what I do is I just put the pin right, I use the padding of the ironing board to kind of hold the trim in place until the glue dries. So now I've done that. Now we're going to do the actual corner part. And if you've done binding, this is going to look familiar to you. So I'm going to take my trim and I use my finger to kind of hold this in place, and I'm going to fold it out, and I'm going to make a nice 90-degree angle. So I've made a 90-degree angle there with my trim, and then again holding my finger, using my fingernail to hold it in place, I just fold it back. And so now you see it's going back that way. And then I'm going to use my glue again, and again this gets a little bit tricky. You have to hold it in place till it gets glued down, and that's why I use the glue. I just think it holds so much better than trying to do just the pins. So I'm gonna use a couple of pins for this. I want to make it sure that it's really secure. And once that glue dries, it's going to be held in place securely so that it's much easier to sew down with my machine. So then I'm going to use a few more drops of my glue. Okay, now I've come to the next corner, and I'm going to do that again so you can see it again. So I'm going to use my fingernail to hold this in place. I'm going to fold up, make a 90-degree angle, and then I'm going to fold it back down again. And you can adjust that fold so that you get a nice corner on there. So that looks good. That's how I want that. So I'm going to put a couple dots of glue there. And then I'm just going to continue all the way around. And then when I get over back to this edge, let's just pretend that I've gotten over to this final corner, I'll just create a little bit of an overlap where I have my starter edge. And if you've got a fringe that's going to fray, like this pom-pom fringe might fray a little bit, I'll probably give myself a little bit of excess and fold that under so that it doesn't fray. So I would just continue to go all the way around. And you'll find that you can do this with any kind of trim. So for example, I've got some ribbon here, and if I was using the ribbon, it would be the same thing. Now the ribbon, you're going to have to be a little bit more careful with your angle of your fold because the pom-pom fringe kind of covers up any little mistakes you have, but the ribbon is going to show more. So you just want to get a really nice, crisp fold, and you'll see that's what it would look like if I was using the ribbon. So I'm going to let that dry, and it doesn't take that long because we've only used little tiny dots of glue, and then I'm just going to remove the pins, and I'll kind of check it, make sure that the glue is secure, and then I'll just sew it on my sewing machine. And I actually use this basting glue method whenever I do any kind of trim. So for example, here was a pot holder that I did, and no corners involved, just a straight piece of rickrack, but I actually did the same thing where I put it down, added some glue basting, used the pins to hold it till the glue dried, and then I sewed it on my machine. I just think that it holds much more securely than pins, and you're going to get a nice, flat, even finish if you do it that way.